welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a source that unpacks something absolutely wild, the explosive rise and the massive backlash of a satirical internet meme that somehow morphed into a giant political movement. We're talking about what actually happens when digital satire slams headfirst into real-world political power. Let's get right into it. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the spark, cockroach comments. Second, the birth of a viral movement. Third, the real demands behind satire. Fourth, the digital crackdown. And finally, the broader censorship pattern.
All right, section 1, the spark, cockroach comments.
So, according to the source, this whole thing kicks off on May 15th, 2026. During a Supreme Court hearing, the Chief Justice of India allegedly made some pretty shocking remarks. The quote attributed to him basically called unemployed youth parasites and, quote, youngsters like cockroaches who just don't get employment. Now, context is absolutely crucial here. This happened right in the middle of massive national frustration over severe NEET exam leaks and crazy inflation. People were already on edge, so naturally, the public was incredibly sensitive to hearing words like that. Now, the very next day, the Chief Justice did issue a clarification. He said he was totally misunderstood and that he was actually just talking about people with fake degrees entering professions like law and media, not the youth in general. In fact, he actually called young people the pillars of developed India. But as the source points out, the damage was kind of already done, right? The headline was out there, it was printed, and it had completely captured the public's imagination. Which brings us to section 2, birth of a viral movement. This part perfectly illustrates just how insanely fast things move in the digital age. Check out this timeline. May 15th, the initial comments are made. Literally the next day, May 16th, Abhijit Dipke, an Indian student over at Boston University, launches the Cockroach Janata Party, or CJP. By May 20th, it rockets to 8 million Instagram followers. 8 million! And then by May 21st, its Twitter account gets blocked in India. It's just an unprecedented lightning-fast jump from a single tweet to a massive national controversy.
What's super interesting here is how this movement actually worked when it launched. It was pure parody. I mean, the criteria to join this so-called party were completely absurd. You basically just had to answer 3 questions. Are you lazy? Are you online for hours? And do you identify as a cockroach? That's it. Your background didn't matter at all. If you met those hilarious requirements, you were in. The whole shebang started entirely as a joke. But wow, did that joke resonate? The source emphasizes that the CJP eventually hit 22 million followers on Instagram. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to the source, this actually made it the fastest organically growing social media account in history. It completely blew past the official follower counts of the actual ruling political parties. Now, before diving deeper into the political impact, the source takes this really clever structural tangent. See, people had started creating these highly viral AI-generated anthems and videos for the Cockroach Party. The source actually uses this organic, real-world use of AI to smoothly pivot into pitching an upcoming AI masterclass. They boast about having over 1 lakh, that's 100,000 attendees learning 25 different tools. It's a pretty fascinating transition from viral pop culture right into an educational product. All right, moving on to section 3, real demands behind satire. So here is the real kicker. Beneath all the ridiculous cockroach costumes, there was a highly serious 5-point manifesto. The source outlines these specific demands: stopping retired chief justices from getting parliamentary seats, enacting strict laws against the chief election commissioner for deleted votes, a 50% women's reservation, canceling media licenses for top billionaires, and a 20-year election ban for politicians who switch parties for cash. As the source points out, these aren't jokes. They directly target deep, systemic issues like judicial independence, compromised elections, and media monopolies. And these very real demands led to tangible, real-world action. The CJP wasn't just posting memes all day. They actually launched a petition demanding the education minister resign over those NEET paper leaks. The source notes that this petition quickly gathered over 600,000 signatures. Basically, the youth had found a massive, unified platform to channel their legitimate frustrations. Next up, Section 4, the digital crackdown. Now, the source highlights a stark, honestly kind of unbelievable contrast here. On one hand, you have an internet page where people are literally dressing up in cockroach costumes and making memes. On the other hand, you have the actual intelligence bureau blocking their Twitter account, claiming it's a national security threat. The source asks a pretty valid question. How could a meme page possibly threaten national security more than, say, actual exam leaks and corruption? And from there, the source reports a severe escalation in intimidation tactics. It didn't just stop at a Twitter ban. The creator, Abhijit, faced repeated attempts to hack the CJP Instagram account. Their website was completely shut down. Then things got intensely personal. Abhijit started receiving WhatsApp messages offering bribes to join the ruling party, and when that didn't work, explicit death threats. The source even claims that trolls tracked down his family members back in Maharashtra and targeted them with threatening videos.
Alongside those threats came a wave of defamation. The source neutrally contrasts the wild conspiracy theories being thrown at the creator, like claims that he was a Pakistani ISI asset, part of the deep state, or had shady foreign links, against the actual public reality. I mean, Abhijit openly displayed his past work history with the opposition Aam Aadmi Party from 2020 to 2023 right on his public profiles. On top of that, he published analytics proving that over 94% of the CJP's followers were based right there in India.
Of course, critics also claimed that the CJP's massive follower count was just a bunch of fake bots. To counter this, the source cites third-party analytical tools. And the results? Well, while these tools estimated the Cockroach Janata Party had about 8% fake followers, they estimated the Prime Minister's account had over 19% fake followers. A pretty fascinating comparison, right? Which brings us to our final section, number 5, the broader censorship pattern.
The source argues that this isn't an isolated incident, but rather a specific defamation toolkit that gets deployed against almost any form of opposition or dissent. It really doesn't matter who you are. According to the source, this toolkit, which involves slapping labels like Pakistani agents or foreign conspiracies on critics, has been used against major opposition parties, climate activist Sonam Wangchuk, and shockingly, even a 12th grade CBSE student who was just pointing out irregularities in his exam papers online.
The creator of our source material actually brings their own direct experience into the mix here too. They mention that their own highly viewed Instagram reels, which were analyzing the hypocrisy of a specific political figure, were recently blocked in India without any warning whatsoever. For the source, this really drives home the point that digital freedoms are rapidly shrinking.
And that brings us to a really profound analytical question posed by the source. When a massive political establishment launches a severe, nationwide, intelligence-level crackdown on a satirical meme page, is that a display of absolute political strength, or does it actually expose a deep-seated inner fear and weakness within the system? The source strongly argues it's the latter.
So you might be wondering, how does a digital movement even survive this level of centralized censorship? Well, the source details a fascinating proposed solution: radical decentralization. The idea is that if all 20 million followers simply change their personal profile pictures to the CJP logo and start posting the manifesto themselves, the movement stops being a single, easily bannable page. Instead, it becomes an unstoppable swarm. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. What exactly happens to a democracy when an unstoppable digital joke, one fueled by real underlying public pain, slams into an immovable, highly centralized political system? It's a question that completely defines our modern digital age, and it's definitely one that's going to keep unfolding. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.